Hey everyone, surprise on this wonderful Tuesday night as we are live with this recording of the Surgecast, and we've got a little assistant captain joining us today from the Storm Cellar. How are we doing today, Ray?
I'm doing great. You know what? I gotta say, it's not lost on me that you invited me to join the show on April 1st. You picked the biggest fool of Storm Cellar, and I wear it proudly. So I appreciate the invite, and I can't wait to chop things up about the Canes with you guys because you've got a great show and it's fun to be a part of it. So thanks for the invite.
To be fair,
I
invited you last week and then we changed it. So it wasn't supposed to be April 1st.
Yeah, but you knew better, right? You knew what you had. So look, let's move Raymond to April Fools. It's okay. I get it.
How are you doing tonight, Zach?
Oh, doing good. Can't complain. Always great to talk hockey, and just looking for the good night of recording on here once again. So, how are you doing, Kat?
I'm doing good. Still coming down from the big win over the Islanders. We kind of told all those teams fighting for the wild card, you're not going to use us in this last bit of the race. We're just going to let you, earn it a different way.
Mm-hmm. Go beat yourselves up for that last spot. We have no part of that.
Yeah, we have our own race right now trying to be second in the East. So we're not really going to concern ourselves with the wild card just yet.
Yeah, what a year for a team who everyone thought was going to take a wild card and miss the playoffs, and we're fighting for the second spot in the East. So funny how that works.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you get shot out of the cannon right off the start of the season, right? 14-4. It's hard to blow that, you know what I mean? So it was we did really well right off the start and put a lot of pressure on folks. So even when we slipped a little bit mid-season, we were still in good shape. So
I talked about it. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit with the Peyton Hearn last week. Is that the Canes, even though this was supposed to be the rebuild year, they come in hot and they really set themselves up. So even when they had their skids and they had their bad breaks of games and all of the drama that happened with the trade deadline, they kind of set themselves up that unless, someone had a big run that was beneath them, they were kind of locked into a spot for quite a bit. Like, yes, they need to maintain it, but they were, luck of the draw, the Jersey Devils have a little bit of issues going on with some injuries in their lineup. And then everyone else has just kind of been like up and down all season to the point where they are all fighting for the wild card. And then you got Washington running away with it. So the Canes don't really have all of the pressure that they've had the previous seasons, interesting enough, because like before we were fighting New Jersey for who's going to get like the top spot. Way back when we were fighting just for a spot to get into the wild card, everyone remembers Peter Mrazek. We're in. It's one of those, where were you?
Yeah, exactly. Great celebration. That was so awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, still crazy to think for the fact of the franchise before they had 5 playoff appearances, and now we're on the precipice of having 7 straight. Like, yeah, this is probably the golden era of the Carolina Hurricanes ever since Rod and them took over. So you love to see it.
And it can kind of speak. It speaks different volumes, right? So you're like, okay, well, how hard is the Metro or the East right now? Because the Canes on their retooling year have still maintained this very high level of hockey, and they're up in this spot. And it's like, well, are they up there because the rest of the East is struggling? Or is it just a testament to, even though everyone thought, okay, well, they're going to take a step back this year, Tulsky and Rod were like, no, we're pretty comfortable with what we have. We're going to, we still have the same goal in mind. We still have a lot of the same guys, and we've brought in assets that you guys might not see right away as superstars, but the way they fit into the system has really been a testament to, that's what our front office really sees. And like, they look for the guys, it's like, how are they going to fit the system? Not just their numbers on the books, but how do they fit the system, and how can they then increase their numbers?
And I don't think, first of all, the genius of Eric Tulsky, I mean, the smartest person in every room he's in. When he uses analytics to find the players that fit, I mean, that's the key. There's a lot of GMs that want the shiny new toy or the most coveted UFA or whatever. And he took the time to do the research and look for the guys that were going to fit in. And even at the trade deadline, what a mess that became. And now there's a lot of talk about, you know what, the Kings might have won that trade. When you see the performance, honestly, when you see the performance of Jankowski, Stankoven's doing great, and Taylor Hall, I mean, the savior of a power play right now that was just dismal. And he's the speed guy that's getting the puck in on the penalty killers and getting things set up, and you're starting to see the results. So things are really coming around. We get those three guys and picks. I mean, come on, Eric Tulsky, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at even the scouts too, if you look at the amateur scouts and the pro scouts, and the fact that you go and get those guys, like you said, right, you're looking at Jankowski, 7 goals in 10 games, ties, Matt Cullen and a bunch of other guys for that honor. And then you look at the power plays on a 4-game heater right now, which they've had 2 5-game heaters back in November and December of having power play goals in 5 straight games. So that's kind of, it's not 27th, it's 25th, but hey, you know what? It's a lot harder to get the percentage back up, but you're on the right foot when it comes to getting hot at the right time for that, because we all know how it goes in the playoffs. How's your power play doing? And can you win on the road? And well, the Hurricanes are 500 right now on the road. They have 6 road games coming up in April, so it's gonna be a testament to see how that kind of works out too. But yeah, you look at a team who's 5 wins away from a back-to-back 50-win seasons. They are 6 points away, basically 3 wins, however you want to book that up, to another 100-point season. And yeah, that's on a down year. And answering your question, Cal, like, is the East bad or are the Canes that good? I would say the Canes are just that good because of the fact that, yeah, you look at the East, Toronto's up there, Florida's up there, Tampa's up there too. Those are all the other teams who are fighting for the second spot in the East, and they're all pretty close too. We just have an advantage on Toronto because of a points percentage, and that's where you look at in the rest of the Metro. I mean, hey, New Jersey's fighting, injuries, and the rest of the division for the most part are fighting for, a wild card. So it could be a mixture of both. But if you look at where the Hurricanes are at, you can't really sniff at a team who's, like I said, 50 wins, 100 points for another season in a row, 7 straight playoff appearances. Mm-hmm. The Canes just find a way to get it done with the right guys that need to make it work, and that's all. That's how it always has been. You look at the 05-06 team; everyone picked them, finished dead last, and what happened? Went on stupid runs all season, won the whole dang thing. So,
really, should I have said not is the East bad, but is the Metro fallen off a little bit, which I do think it has. Compared
the Metro has for sure. The Atlantic, though. Mm-hmm. My goodness.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said the Atlantic is tough. Any of the teams in there, although Boston, what the heck is going on over there?
I love
it. I don't mind it either. I won't complain. But, in the Metro, goodness, Columbus having to start the season.
I need them to get that last spot. I want it for them.
Yeah, well,
they deserve it. They deserve it. Well, they worked really hard. They worked really hard to get it.
They have so I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them get in for sure.
After a lot of people, and when we did our predictions, did kind of have in the bomb, but me and Kat both said, we hope we're wrong. We hope they get in. I even said, I hope they get in. And then they're so close to doing it. They have worked really hard for it. I mean, hey, when you got Zach Werenski having a healthy season for once and looking at a Norris, that's more than deserving for that team to get into the playoffs. So that'd be great if they did get that last wild card. Just why not? Let's bring the Chaos Squad back from the bubble season, because why not?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. ahead, Kat.
No, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
All right. I was just going to say, there was one thought that came to me here, and when you're asking, what's the reason and stuff, I think, it's the system that Rod uses that catches everyone off guard and gives a place for players to really shine. Like Jankowski, who was drafted way above what everyone predicted. And Jay Feaster here in Calgary, the GM at the time, thought he was the best and most raw talent of the draft. And he languished, like he just couldn't catch on. And now he's under Rod's system, and it's like he's caught lightning in a bottle. Like you want to ride this and don't ever let it go. It's just, I think he's found a system that he could play it. And that's what happens with guys like Robinson, like Rosie, Roslovic, same sort of thing, right? Just finding the right guys for the system. And I mean, it's tough to play it all season long. No one's playing as hard as the Canes are night in, night out. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just fact.
Yeah. I was thinking about, like, again, you talked about Rod and how, the system, and then Tulsky going out and finding the right guys. It really is a testament, because again, like everyone's like, a lot of teams go for like the big names. So we've talked about it before, but if you look, like Nashville is a prime example. You go out and you get all the big names and all the guys, and you're like, okay, put them all together. And it's like, do they have a system to go and fit into? Is it too many new people at once? They're like, they're a good player, but do they fit well together? And I will always use the season of Nashville with all the big names as an example of maybe not. Like you want to have a core, like a group gelling together, and then you want to bring in the right pieces, whether it's a big name that like Gensel was for us at one point. But it just kind of shows that Tulsky, like a lot of people were like, wow, Tulsky really didn't do his homework when he was looking at Mikko Rantanen. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. If anything, I think they got some false information, because he doesn't seem like a guy that's going to go in, like balls, walls, whatever. Let's see what happens. Because if you even look at when they did the whole trade for Rantanen, it wasn't during the deadline. They did it early because they said, we want to see if this works. We want to really, like, we're going to, take a gamble, but we're also going to set it up so we have a little bit of like, hey, here's going to like a catch. We're not in a free fall here. It's going to catch us, and we're going to do something at the deadline if it doesn't work. So I think it was pretty calculated. Obviously he said it's not what they were hoping for, but they had, backup plans. And like the fact that like Hall, I will even say for us, we didn't talk about how big he was in that trade, but like the fact we gave up player like Teuvo Teravainen, and then you get a player like Hall come in, who's very much that two-way, a big passer, very creative with what he does. He'll take the shot, not the biggest guy, but he'll also still like push to keep the play and kind of really pushes all of his teammates to be better. And then you get like, again, we talked about Stankoven was the big pickup, because you're like, all right, we got another Jarvis-like player, which everyone in Carolina loves, but Jankowski kind of flew under the radar. But he's just like, he plays like KK, he plays like Stahl, like he's a big guy. But if you take those two and then add his driving to the net, like Jarvis does at times, or Aho, then that's where all his scoring is coming from. And he's just fitting in so well. And the fact that nobody would have seen that coming, but Tulsky and them did the research to be, this is a guy from what we've seen is going to play well under Rod and also really flourish. So the fact that, he's a fourth line, but honestly, I love our fourth line right now. Like our fourth line is a lot of big guys, but big guys with skill, to the fact that I'm like, I don't even know if you would ever really take away a lot of minutes or shorten your bench at times. Cause you've got you got Robinson, you've got Jankowski, and when he's healthy, you had Svechford. That's a big line. That's a big line with skill. Like it's not just you're like, okay, like they kind of go through the motions, your fourth line, put some bodies out there. That's a line that's got guys that are scoring and guys that'll push you through a wall.
Yeah, that's really saying something when you look at the Ray, we all have grown up in the 90s and 2000s of your fourth lines, your chicken lines, your guys, you're kind of whatever, they're there. But this is a great problem to have when you're the Carolina Hurricanes. We have Andrei Svechnikov of all guys on your fourth line, because you got Hall and KK playing phenomenal together, and then you got Rosie with that extra speed on that line. Then you got Jarvis, Aho, Blake as that top line, and I mean, Blaker has been on an absolute run as of late. Like, he's been playing some great hockey. Look at that rookie just coming out and just doing his business. Then you're like, yeah, Svetch fourth line, no big deal. I know a lot of people are kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. No, that's great. Now you have four lines of guys who can score, hit, throw bodies. Like, that's the one thing with the Hurricanes that I think, if you're looking at playoff teams, and you look at, let's say you look at the Western Conference like Colorado or all these other teams, or even the Eastern Conference of Toronto, Tampa, Florida. A lot of these teams are very top six, maybe fringe top nine heavy. Carolina, four lines that anyone can score, and that's the one thing about the Hurricanes is their depth. Is when it's rolling, it is a problem. It's just a constant surge of they're going to come at you and punch you in the mouth and score goals. And it's just worked out perfectly. And, Taylor Hall's fitting great on the power play. I mean, he's got 4 power play goals since March 15th. Like, who could have seen that coming too? And just overall, all these guys are fitting in well together. And you look at Seth Jarvis, I mean, the guy missed 7 games this season, and he's on pace for another 30-goal, 60-point season and 30 assists with missing time. And he leads the team in shorties. He leads the team in goals, which is crazy. Like, and that's why you give him that type of contract. But it's just overall, this whole team, there's you can look at any certain guy. You're like, I loved his season. I loved his season. I loved his season. Even the depth guys, you love their seasons. And that's a great problem to have for the Carolina Hurricanes. Depth, scoring, hits everywhere. And then let's not even forget when Carrier comes back. Where do you slide him in this lineup? That's the crazier part. Where do you put him in?
What? That's a great problem to have, the embarrassment of riches and so forth. Yeah. Taylor Hall, you mentioned, Kat, all of the things that he brought. And the one thing that has stood out for me is how quick he is. He came in so long ago, like he's wily veteran type thing. And I kind of lost track of him a little bit after Boston. You kind of lost track of him, and it was like, okay, he's still here. And then he shows up and he's rejuvenated and he's just fantastic fast. Seth Jarvis, there were so many Canadians that were cracking on him for being selected to the team. And 4 Nations, man, he was great. He didn't get as much time as he should have on the ice, but he made his contributions. And I mean, this whole lineup, Rod's always said, we don't have 4 lines, and it's not that way. And I think one of the keys for the playoffs is having all of those lines like that. You especially don't have to shorten the bench, and shortening the bench just makes it harder for the top lines, like your scorers, to have the energy to keep going. I mean, it's a grind. Those 16 games to the cup is a grind. And, you got some tough teams to play in the East. Out West is going to be a bloodbath. I mean,
I'm glad they have to go through each other before we get one of them.
Yeah, no kidding.
I really like how this group has rounded out, like you were saying, because if you look at previous cup winners, so look at the Avalanche, look at even Tampa Bay, but look at Florida, and they were just like such a complete team. Like, a lot of people will say, well, it's like you got to have like a superstar, your power play and your goalie has to be on top of it. But honestly, it's really your whole team has to be on. Like, all of those teams were complete teams. They didn't have just one superstar going on, which is like, I would say sometimes the detriment to the Edmonton Oilers is all the eyes are on McDavid. And you're like, yes, he's one, if not the greatest player, but you also have to say, okay, well, when he's not on the ice, do you have the rest of the lines? Do you have the defense on? Do you have the goalie going? And a lot of times with the Oilers, there's just so much focus on one guy. And if you look back at all the cup teams, it's like these teams are a full unit. The Florida Panthers are disgustingly put together, and they're like, if one guy has teeth, the rest of them have teeth, and they're coming for you. And I kind of like that how these lines are shaping up. So there's a little bit of discourse. Okay, well, the Jarvis, Aho, and Blake line, they're smaller. They've got the skill, they're smaller, and then their efforts weren't being rewarded there for a little bit. But now it's starting to come. It's starting, all right, we're getting all that we worked for. It's finally, we're getting the puck luck to go along with the setup. And then you get down to I will say this as how we list them on the starting lineups, even though they're not numbered lines. You get your second line with like KK, Hall, Roslovic. Okay, so you've got some size there with KK. Roslovic is starting to get a little bit more physical in times, but you've got his shot and his like quickness, and when he decides to pass, it's beautiful. And then you've got Hall creating all these different chances with his passes, and then you get down to, okay, your shutdown line. Right now we have Stank on it, but if you have Carrier, that line is, in general, that's your bulldog line. That's a line that's going to bully you off the puck. Martinook's passes behind the net are a thing to be studied. They're like, I wish that if he had one guy that would just drive the net, as soon as he gets there, you just need one guy to drive the net every time, not to be standing there already, but drive it, because it pops out just perfectly. But that's the line that's going to bully you. And it's like, okay, well, they're a little bit, maybe that line's a little bit slower, and like maybe they're not the most like big shot heavy. And you're like, okay, well, send out the fourth line. That line's going to bully you and also take shots. And you're like, you get no break. So you're like, okay, well, maybe I want to take on the smaller line. Well, that line's going to skate around you with their speed and skill. Who do you want to face? So I like how there's a balance there. Again, we can keep talking about this. I'm sure we will, as we look at, like, we'll talk about the games that have just happened, and we'll talk about the upcoming games. But we do want to talk a little bit about Canes Roundup. Canes in the community this last weekend. It was beautiful in North Carolina. Sorry that you were not here, Ray.
Yeah, I wish I could be. It was sleet and snow here just seconds ago. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, we are honestly, we're looking a little Nashville because it's very yellow here in North Carolina. But it's beautiful weather. And so the Canes had a little bit of community efforts, and we opened up the new street rinks in the Apex Community Park. Me and the paid intern went out there, and you got to hear from Doug Wharf. You got to hear from the mayor of Apex. Shane was there leading the charge. We saw some Walt action there, and a little surprise, and Morrow and Robinson were there as well. And it was just the kids getting out there. No skates were allowed at first, because it was like, hey, everyone just wants to see what's going on, not too serious. And they were just hitting it around, getting autographs with the guys. It's such a cool place. Like, it's two big rinks, and it really, to set up for leagues and to set up for people that are really wanting to get into the sport. But ice hockey is a little expensive. And then the fact that also one of the rinks, we talked about this before too, it can be set up for basketball and futsal as well. Like, that's going to be so packed, and so much use is going to go into that this summer. I'm excited. I want to find a time when it's not too busy to go check it out some more. But there was also a few little community get-togethers of Jackson Blake had a little meet and greet signing in Harris Teeter, which was really funny. And Jacob Slavin was over at Two Roosters in Wake Forest. His line was insane. Like, even with an hour left, it was wrapped around. I still have yet to taste Two Roosters ice cream, because the line is always super long. I should have known it was going to be even longer then, because it's ice cream and Jacob Slavin.
But it's Jacob Slavin. I mean, that it goes without saying at this point. Like, if he's there, expect wait times for like forever, because duh.
That's what Four Nations did for him. People suddenly woke up and recalled what everyone in Carolina had been saying forever. And the one guy in Calgary, well, there's a couple of us out here that were saying too. I really quickly wanted to jump in about Shane and the rinks. We were lucky enough to have Shane join us in the Storm Cellar, and he was so excited about that and the promotions. And it was great. You could feel the energy from him. I was lucky enough growing up while I was still in broadcasting, got a chance to watch him when he was with the Lethbridge Hurricanes. And so I got a little, fan stargazing kind of little bit, talking with them. But his efforts in the community, I don't have to be there to know how devoted he is. And that really says something, like all class, and to see him, be a big part of that and help bring it all together. Magnificent. That's how you grow a team. That's how you get generational fans. We have so many fans that for the Caniacs, and we talk to a lot of them, they migrate from other teams. That's how they started. And we're seeing more and more and more of the generational fans who grew up with the team, who survived the dark days. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, and they stayed with it the whole time. The only way you can do that is by reaching out to the community and having that strong connection. And Shane's such a big part of that. Here I am again glowing over him, but honestly, that's it.
You're right. You're right. I honestly, when we talked to him on here, like, he really is like the Carolina Hurricanes face in the community. And I love that it's only been like his efforts have just been emphasized more with Doug becoming the president, because he's such a community forward guy. Like, he was there and he was like, I'm so excited for my daughter to be going out here. And when I've played out here before, and I love how involved in the community the Canes are, and continuing and doing more and more efforts. So
I mean, it's great when Doug Wharf is one of us too. So it's really great when you have a president of a team who's like, yeah, I was a fan, have been, and it's like, all right, he gets us. So there you go.
Yeah,
he understands. I'll talk to him about parking. He's like, I know. It's not all on me, I promise.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know what? We still gotta give a big shout out to Mike Foreman too, because even though he's not with the team anymore, you still see him like just advocating for the Hurricanes. And he will not let a certain writer, down about his projection for the Hurricanes. And every time I see it, it's just fantastic too. And he's always at the games as well. So, gotta give a big shout out to Mike Foreman for still holding it down for us Hurricanes.
Now he gets to enjoy it instead of working behind the scenes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and just giving it to everyone who's like, all right, keep doubting us. It's all right. It's cool.
So that's a little bit how the Canes recently were putting back out into the community. But let's going back and talking a little bit more about the Canes and playoffs and all of that fun stuff. So per ESPN, NHL teams with the most active consecutive playoff appearances, Boston Bruins have 8 since 2017. This might be the year they don't.
Yeah, there's a good possibility that streak.
It's a really good possibility. Toronto Maple Leafs with 8 since 2017. We know how that 8 has gone. Colorado Avalanche was 7 since 2018. Tampa Bay Lightning was 7 since 2018. Carolina Hurricanes 6, going on 7 since 2019. Yep. Edmonton Oilers with 5 since 2020, and Florida Panthers with 5 since 2020. That's wild. 2020. It doesn't feel that long ago, but I guess if you think about it, 5 years ago at this point, a lot of these teams I just feel like I've seen in playoffs nonstop. But then again, the Canes have been in playoffs nonstop.
Yeah. What's time really since 2020? That's been time doesn't make sense since then.
Yeah. We do need to talk about, so there were some playoff clinching scenarios tonight. There have been some updates in the game so that they actually don't work. But tonight, technically, the Hurricanes and Toronto could have clinched a place in the Stanley Cup playoffs with a Columbus loss to Nashville in any fashion and Montreal losing to Florida in any fashion. Well, that didn't work.
Well, I thought it was an or. I thought it was an or. It was one of them had to lose.
But they both won. They both won.
Wait, Montreal actually came back and won against
Montreal
Florida
won and Blue Jackets won. So the Canadians have actually beat Florida twice because they were supposed to.
Wow,
you know what? Back to back.
Wow. All right. So you can't rely on Florida to do anything for us. Great.
No.
Fantastic. Appreciate you guys.
Montreal won it in overtime. But what is fun is that the Panthers are falling down a little bit in that race for second in the East, which is kind of nice.
Oh, that's great. But all right,
yeah,
well, that means the Hurricanes.
We're fighting with.
Then we need to do it then.
We're fighting with the Leafs and Tampa Bay still, but really the Leafs were like neck and neck with. Obviously, as we were both looking to go into playoffs.
Games in hand is why we're ahead of them because of points percentage.
This also means the Panthers didn't clinch a playoff spot because they needed to win and Columbus to lose in regulation. That didn't happen. Wow. And same with Tampa Bay. Everyone was wanting Montreal to lose tonight except Montreal.
Go figure, right? But you know what? That's fine. No big deal. And then we just have to do our job against Washington and do it ourselves then. So
there are two other scenarios. The Vegas Golden Knights will clinch a place in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight with a win versus Edmonton, or a Calgary regulation loss versus Utah. Oh gosh, and this next one is wild. Or overtime shutout loss plus one of either Calgary getting a point or St. Louis regulation loss.
Oh, I forgot how wild these scenarios can get this time of year. It's like it's this, or it could be this, or it could be that. Then it's here, and over there, and add some trigonometry. Figure out the word for X in all of this.
Yeah. And then the Ducks are the latest team facing elimination. If they have a regulation loss versus San Jose and St. Louis win versus Detroit in any fashion. So
how about
those are the most likely.
how about St. Louis just reminiscing their 2019 season to come out of nowhere and go on a stupid run again?
Well,
yeah,
this is crazy because the way the playoffs on Sunday, if playoffs had started then, it would have been a rematch of Binnington versus Hellebuck in net again, just like it was for Four Nations. So that was crazy. And as far as the Hurricanes go, I'm about to say something that is epic and would never be heard anywhere before. I've never said this before. Okay. But the team that shall not be named actually did me a favor tonight. Because I know it's shocking. I don't
wait. I need to check to see if there's any lightning going outside.
Yeah, right now, no, exactly. This is it. They did me a favor. I have always been a proponent of not backing into the playoffs. I love when a team is the one that wins it and says, we are the ones that are in, not because of the losses of other teams. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I still have Schadenfreude incidents about the team that shall not be named. That will never change. But their victory tonight gives us a chance to win a game in the measuring stick game of the final few games that we have. A chance to beat Washington to clinch the spot. I love that. It adds more excitement to the game. Never mind Ovechkin still chasing Gretzky. He's 4 back now because he scored once tonight for sure. The last time I knew, and so
3 to tie, 4 to win, or 4 to take it. So
yeah, and so amazing, right? Like this is our chance to show the rest of the league we're legit. And I'd rather win our way in than back in.
How great would it be though too if we did against Washington? It's the last game of the current homestand. You only get 2 more home games, but you clinch it right before you go on the road. Like what a way to end this homestand.
Yes and no. Washington. I want them to have. I still want them to yes at home, but I don't want them to let off any gas in the last couple of games.
Oh yeah, no. Like when they talked to Rod after practice on Monday or Tuesday, he's like, no, there's no letting off the gas like you used, because there's still a lot to play for. Like I don't see them just being like, okay, we're in, we're done. It's like no, because then you have to figure out how to get your foot back on the gas when you go into the playoffs. You don't want to coast. You coast, you're asking for it.
Yeah. So it is interesting looking at so it's been kind of the playoff spots always they like, jockey back and forth. If you want to look real quick over in the West, the Jets have locked it up. The Stars have locked, they've both in playoff spots now. It's the Jets, Dallas, and then Colorado. And then in the Pacific, you've got the Knights, Kings, and Edmonton Oilers. The Knights kind of ran away with that, just like, well, the Stars are catching up with the Jets. And then the wild card over there is a little more spread out than it is in the East. I feel like it's gone back and forth, the wild card in the West and the wild card in the East, which one is the more crazy scenarios going on. But it looks like the Wild and the Blues are starting to run away with it. The next one to kind of catch them might be the Calgary Flames. The Canucks have kind of fallen out of it, which is really interesting.
Got rid of the wrong guy, but that's just me though.
But this is why I will always be a proponent of, I don't always want big superstars. I want my locker room to be a one unit. And they had that issue for weeks, and I feel like they didn't address it, or they like tried to do different things and it was never fully resolved.
Nope, it wasn't. But the good thing with the Hurricanes too is though, and like I said, why you don't want to take your foot off the gas cap is because if you get your second spot in the East, then you're basically outside of Washington, you're home ice to the entire Eastern Conference. And think about this though too. They're fifth in the AHL in points. Outside of Winnipeg, Dallas, and probably Vegas. If they catch Vegas, that'd be great. If not, you at least have only 3 teams in the West that when you take them on in the final, they would have home ice. So the Hurricanes would only have 4 teams ahead of them through the entire playoffs that would have home ice other than them, which is a great thing to have because whoever you take on, I'm probably going to be New Jersey in the first round. Probably going to take on Washington depending on who they play, depending on how that works out. But if you get to the Eastern Conference final, there you go, home ice. And you're in the last round before you go to the Cup final, depending on how the West shakes out. Let's say some weird thing happens and those 3 teams don't make it to the Cup final. Guess what? Hurricanes game 1, Eastern the Cup final at home at Lenovo. That's why you don't take your foot off the gas. Even if you clinch tomorrow night, go get your spot, go get second in the East, and hey, go get that 4th in the NHL. Go and beat and pass Vegas. Take that 4th spot, and you're really setting yourself up for an epic run in the playoffs.
I do love that fact that this weekend the Canes fans really showed up. So we had very tough games with Montreal and we had a very tough game with the Islanders. Islanders fell on a Sunday. I was a little bit nervous because we had the Grateful Dead night and I talked about it, but I absolutely hated it because it was so actually like not even as a joke, dead. I
don't get why Lenovo. That was the night. I don't get why Grateful Dead was the night.
It has been for a while. But I was a little bit nervous because it gave me Sunday vibes. And so I was like, well, Sunday against the Islanders, that's a team that we really need to beat. That's a team that really has a lot to fight for. We've seen them in playoffs before. There's a lot of weight behind it. And the Canes fans came out and there were Islanders fans that were trying to start cheers and they were loud, but the Canes fans very much were like, nope, we're at home. We're winning. We're at a better spot than you. You can keep cheering your way to that wild card spot as much as you want, but we're not letting you in this way.
Yeah, I was stuck with the Islander feed watching that one, and they couldn't stop going to the entire section of fans. There must have been 30 or 40 all standing together.
Thing?
Yeah. It was difficult to watch, and just to circle back real quick about how important it is for them to keep the foot on the gas. They still have a lot to work on in the playoffs. You need 3 things. You need goaltending, you need depth scoring, and you need special teams. And until the special teams are worked out and hitting on all cylinders, it makes it that much more difficult for.
They're getting close, Ray. They're picking up some heat.
They are, and I like it.
Still pretty hot.
Oh, yeah,
Still pretty hot.
The penalty kill is fantastic. I wish we would take fewer of them. We don't have to keep proving how good we are on the penalty kill.
It's not just us, Ray. The refs don't like us. It's a combination.
You know, it got to a point there where I was kind of wishing that when the other team would take a penalty, we would volunteer to send one of our guys in because Aho and Jarvis could go out there and score a shorthanded goal. And
that is our power play.
I mean,
it's the power kill. It's the power kill, not the penalty kill. The power kill.
Exactly.
But also, Ray, real quick, fourth thing that we need to worry about for the playoffs: win on the road. You got to playoffs. The playoffs don't start until you win on the road. So
yeah. I hate hearing that, but there's truth. There's always truth to that.
Yeah,
it's not wrong though. It's cliche as it is.
I will say I've liked. So yes, we've got the penalty kill is great. We have tried and true, and then you get a little bit of that extra. Hey, we can bite you when we're shorthanded very easily. Mm-hmm. And now the power play is picking up, and what I really love is again. I'm all for putting Taylor Hall on both units, but that's just me. But his creativity,
Taylor Hall do everything.
Like he's driving the net, he's moving when he's there, he's moving. Like the rest of the guys, he makes them move because he starts to move. Mm-hmm. And I love that what this is activated with is when Taylor Hall starts moving, it makes the other guys move. But one guy that makes move, it makes Ghost even more deadly because Ghost can, he can dangle, he can move around, he can find the seam. But if he's doing that along with Taylor Hall, the two of them, it gives me a little bit of, remember when Natchez and Ghost were very, very much clicking where they could find each other and one of them would take the shot or the other. And it was just like beautiful chemistry. Mm-hmm. If you get that with Taylor Hall and Ghost, where they can make that power play move, make them take shots, make them be creative with it, then you're going to keep having the success. And I think between that, if you get a little bit of puck luck, and I think when, especially puck luck for guys like Blake and Stankoven, who are right there at the doorstep, like they are the guys that are like fearless, they're in the crease, they're right there, and it's just barely, it's jumping their stick, they're getting pushed out of the way, little things like that, and you're like, but they're doing everything right. So it's like that will just make the power play continually click if you get all of those to match up. And I think they're starting to, and I think they're starting to get that confidence built with it too.
There's something in the triangle that I think that everyone would understand. And I always liked to compare a power play that works looks like a man-to-man basketball play. In basketball, you're always moving, you're always hustling, you're cutting through the key, you're moving around, and you create players that are open for easy points. And I thought, we're in the triangle. I mean, basketball was everything. Why aren't we doing that? And you're right. When Hall starts moving around and everyone starts moving, there was a great example in the last game. We scored a power play goal. It was the continual movement. It was the hustling around. Ghost, in the middle of the season, he took a dive. He was not doing so well. I'd be just as happy to and not blame his child, but becoming a dad takes a lot out of you.
Injury and children.
Yeah.
Injury and children were two things where it was like, that kind of stinks all at once.
But now you're seeing him getting back into that groove, and with all of the movement and the guys are going to the front of the net and taking away the goaltender's eyes. You can't stop what you can't see. And that's always been something that Brad and I have begged for, is movement and have someone in front to take away the eyes, willing to go there all the time. Earlier in the season, we always saw the player who was usually Svetch, who is standing beside the net at the back door, looking for that backdoor tap in type thing, but he's standing still. And while the puck's being passed around, the outside, looking for the opportunity to slide it into him, Well, I mean, we ended up killing the other team's penalties for them because the defenders, it just made the defenders' job that much easier because they could just play zone instead of what we do best, which is play man to man. And so I love falling back on basketball terms. It was my life growing up. So yeah, I love the movement, and Taylor Hall is a big key to it. And Eric, sign him now. Please,
we've got the money for it, and it's definitely
three by 4.5. Give him a 4.5 per year for the next 3 seasons. I'll take it.
As you were talking about the previous games and with the power play and everything, let's go ahead and talk about the last 2 games. So I mentioned it before. We had the Canadians and we have the Islanders, 2 teams that are fighting for a playoff spot. When we were playing them, I believe the Canadians were in the second to wild card spot and the Islanders were right behind them. It's a little bit changed up now as it's the Canadians, and then right outside the wild card looking in is the Rangers, Jackets, Red Wings, and then the Islanders. But we knew it was going to be 2 very hard games because it's teams that are literally fighting for their offseason. Like it's what they're doing. And the Canes have been there before, so you know that there's going to be a little extra grit to these games. But you still got to make them earn it. And the Canes have their own thing to fight for. Not to mention, you want to get back on that winning streak. Yeah, we were going a little bit of like loss, win. And it's like, no. We're not in that mindset. Those 2 losses were really against good teams, or we had an off night. We need to get back going in our groove. And we did, honestly. The Florida game, or not Florida game, the Islanders game was a little bit choppier. But I do love that the Canes really pushed through with those 2. The Canadians was a very scrappy game. I have not seen in a while a set of referees that lost control of a game so quickly. They were quick. Yeah. They were trying to reinforce from the get-go, but also not, and it just wasn't letting the game go to any sort of tempo, but also not in like a consistency way. So it got very chippy very quick. Freddie stood on his head though. Freddie played a hell of a game. Even though we went down early and, all Canes fans are like, no, here we go again. Because we hate to be scored on first. And that one was a little bit of a dagger because it came on the stall line. It started out there for us. It's like, that's your big defense line, your bully line. And it was just like, nobody knew where anyone was. But then you get the right bounce of Blake finally gets the bounce. Like, love to see it. All of his efforts. He gets the bounce. You're like, is it his? Is it Aho's? Is it own goal? Like, what's happening? And so you go into that first period. The Canes dominated, honestly. And so you go in, I mean, the shots were 11-4. And you're like, okay, well, I'd love to see our efforts are like, it's 1-1. So it's like, it's kind of like a blank slate, even though the Canes are playing better. And then you start seeing those results in the second and then in the third when you get a power play goal by Hall. And then you get that top line buzzing with Aho, Blake, and Jarvis. And then welcome back, Mr. Svechnikov, with an empty netter.
Yeah, driven into the net too, as I recall. And it
wasn't an easy empty netter. Don't get me wrong. He was off to the side and had to fight his way back into it.
Yeah. Okay. So when we were shut out by the team that shall not be named, that had to be one of the most difficult nights for me, because when I watched that game, I wondered who the impersonators were. I didn't see my team playing that night, and it was a struggle. And Freddie, again, people crack on him, and I've never understood it. When he is healthy, he has the talent and the ability to be one of the best in the league. And he started proving that right out of the gate. Again, he was, close to 930 or something, and just playing lights out. And then, of course, he gets injured, which is why, Rod's move to flip him back and forth with Piotr, I think, is just super smart because, first of all, the team has confidence in them both. And that's really the situation that you want with any team. A lot of players might look and say, okay, backups in tonight, we've got to work a little bit harder. He doesn't see as much pucks. And things have changed so much over time. Like back in the 80s, your goaltenders, and I watched it, and the goaltenders were playing 79 out of 82 games. And you had to, drag them out of the net to even, like, they were insulted if they couldn't play. And now you're seeing things like Saros in Nashville. And I think he played, like, he was getting up 50s, stuff like that. There was comments about how many games were being played by some of these goaltenders, and it wears them out. And to have that ability to flip back and forth and be confident every night that you're going to get the goaltending that you need, that just makes it easier for everyone. It allows you to play your game.
Well, we saw what happened with, one of mine about like goalie fatigue that I always think about is Cam Ward. Like he was literally, he got goalie fatigue hard. And It was literally, we didn't have anyone to really back him up for a little bit. And like, yeah, you run the hot goaltender, like you have one guy you trust, but you do have to really have, I personally say going with two, because then if for some reason something happens to one, because injuries happen, injuries have been plaguing it this season specifically, then you have the other guy who's used to playing. Like he's not coming in the season cold. He's got a few more reps under his belt. You saw a little bit with New Jersey as well this season. So they've got Markstrom and they've got Allen, but they were kind of going back and forth, but Markstrom was taking more of the load. Well, then Markstrom gets injured for a little bit and Allen has to take a little bit more. And it kind of works because Allen was kind of going back and forth, but then he's also like, okay, but obviously he's not used to this workload because you haven't been flipping him. But I know you said you had if that was it, I know you said you had a little take on my goalie take, which was, listen, we went on an 8-game winning streak and it was a mix of Freddie and Piotr. Both of them were on. Piotr has played a lot this season and he's had a concussion. He's had a lot of different backups with him. He finally has Freddie back, a little bit more consistency. And I will say, I think my take is that Piotr actually plays better with a few more games, like kind of under his belt. I'm not saying back-to-backs, but like a game, like if we played Friday and then he plays Sunday, I think he can do that. And he had to do it some this season. I think he likes that consistency. He's younger. I think he bounces back and kind of gets that rhythm going. Whereas with Freddie, like you said, he's older. He's plagued with injuries. It's better, like, let him have a hot game. It's not like he mentally gets like cold during his sit. It's more like give his body a rest because when he comes back, he'll be just as hot. It's going to stay mentally dialed in. And unfortunately right now, we love to throw any goalie we can to the Wolves. We did it with some of our backups that were struggling this year. Piotr goes out on concussion. We bring in Martin. Martin's been hot for a while, but he's a backup. He's not used to that much workload. He's struggling, and everyone's like, how dare this? He's awful. And it's like, guys, it's what we have. Like, it's what we have right now. It's not on him. He's not supposed to be in this position. Calm down. And then so all season, it's like, we need to go get a new goalie. We need to go get a new goalie. Okay, well, we didn't have the space for it because you didn't know when Freddie was coming back. And also you had other issues you had to attend to first. So then Freddie comes back. And so now you finally got that duo. And Piotr's been playing well, but he had that Kings game. That Kings game, like, the Kings were on fire. I don't think the Canes played super well. I just don't think it was their night. It was going to be a loss. It's fine. But that's a lot on Piotr. And, like, I will say, I think Freddie stays mentally locked in and physically he struggles sometimes. I think Piotr's the opposite. I think Piotr's fine physically and mentally. That's where he needs to mature, is stick with it. And I think that Kings game was a little bit of a lesson too, whereas Rod is like, you're staying in there because I can't put your counterpart in because I need him physically healthy for tomorrow. You have to stick this out and mentally stay focused for this. And I think it's weighed on him a little bit because some of these goals aren't typical. I really do disagree with people saying he's not NHL caliber because I've seen other goalies around the league. And I just need to remind people he's still young. Like, he's played so well and he's still young. He's going to have, like, yes, back and forth, but he also hasn't had any consistency in his time with us. Like, he's been in a rotation of 3 goalies and both like were out at different times. And then he came here and he's had mostly backups this season. So I'm always going to give Piotr a little bit of benefit of the doubt because when he is on, he's on, and you're not going to worry about him physically. It's the mental that is what he's got to work on. But what, he's like, how old? Like 20, 21, 22?
25.
25 now? Wow. Watch out, old man. Old man alert. Just kidding.
So Zach was a witness to Kat and I dropping the mitts about the goaltending, and we didn't throw hands, but it was an interesting discussion. And now what my comment was, it was more something to pose to the both of you. I'd love to get your takes on this. I am wondering if in the playoffs, and there's stats that actually back up my suggestion, that Piotr gets the home games and Freddie starts the away games. And I wanted to get your take on what you thought about that, because as far as the mental aspect and so forth, it's tough playing in another barn, and you want that experience. You know what I mean? The LA game, I completely threw away. Look, there were 3 goals that went in off the bar. They were bar downs off the post or whatever. One of the goals went off. Martinook scored 4 of them because it was thrown out in front, went off his skate and goes in. I mean, there was really only one goal that you could kind of put on PK. But, and I wondered actually why Rod left him in. And you realize, you know what, there's the game the next day. So it makes sense. And plus it's a learning experience for him as well. You're going to have tough nights. And sometimes you're just going to take lumps and the other team's going to just play with a cheat code. And that's what it seemed like. But I wanted to get your guys' take because the numbers say it. Freddie's great on the road. Fantastic on the road. I mean, to me, he plays great all the time. But is that a strategy that you'd be interested in going with come playoff time?
I would 100% be down for it. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I can see the logic in it, but it's scheduling. It's the, I think with, if it was like the regular season where you're kind of being a little bit more consistent on how many games you're playing, but with the playoffs, you're looking at, okay, you know, how many days in between games are they going to be, travel and stuff like that. I think that comes into that effect too of how frequently are you playing enough to where the guy who's doing the road games or the home games, how long is the other guy sitting for? And I don't think you really want to sit him too long. I don't think the breaks are super bad in terms of it's not going to be like a week or some nonsense like that, but I think it's plausible. It's possible to make that work. It's just
it's
days in between.
It's less of a break though than if you had just one guy you're going to most of the time, and then when he has a bad night, you go to someone else. Mm-hmm. So it's less of a break. But while I'll let you, yeah.
Sorry, it would be extremely unusual to do it that way. I'm not suggesting that
we never do anything usual. You know what I mean?
Well, no, exactly right. But it just kind of came to me, and like when opposing team play-by-play teams suggest such things that, man, tonight's going to be tough. Freddie's great on the road and stuff. And it's like, you hear that enough times, you start to believe it, and you see the performance. Who right now, given the choice, who starts opening night?
So I will say real quick, our paid intern has been fantastic. To have the records for the two goalies, I do want to say too, to go to your point, Piotr at home is 18-4-1. Away, he's 8-9-2. Freddie at home, again, shortened season for him, but 4-3, but away 8-2. You can see which one has strengths. And it's funny because if you think about it, Freddie is also playing, his strength away is kind of interesting because you're also playing with you don't got last change when you're away. So Freddie is probably getting a few more mix match matchups that you're not going to get when you're home, because you're making sure you put Stahl against those people or matching up your lines right. So I'd say I don't think this is fair. So if we're looking, if you'd asked me this question when we're on our 8-game road streak, I would say I'm going to give it to Piotr because he's done the weight of the work this season. He's playing amazing. He's earned it. Has he struggled as of recently, and he's gotten some of the worst, the harder games because, playing against the Kings, it was their night. It's a crazy game, like you said. And even the Islanders, I mean, that's a little bit of a struggle. I think, again, he's a little bit in his head about these things. So he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and you're like, he's got to have that shot. Are we at the point now where we have a goalie that has an off night and we have guys on the lineup backing him up where they can outscore the other team? Love that. That's what other teams do. We can't be like, well, we have a leaky goalie. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Have you seen some of the other goalies around the league? That's what other teams do. If your goalie's having an off night, you got to help him out and score more, because not every goalie, not even good goalies, have a great night all the time. It's just not possible.
And it's what we did with the Islanders, right?
Yeah.
PK was a little leaky, and we just went outscored them. And that,
and you let him find his game. You let him get more into it. Yeah. So I would say if we're going based on how we've been playing right now, it's feeling Freddie. But I just looking at that stat, Piotr's really good at home. The Islanders is a hard game. He let in some bad ones. Did he win it for us still? Yeah. He made saves when it mattered.
In the third period, it was outstanding.
Yeah, the third period, I think, let's see, what did they have shots wise? The Islanders had 13 shots on us in the third, which was more than they had the previous two periods, because that was their desperation. And he was
AAA
standing tall. We had a penalty at the end. They pulled the goalie. They outnumbered us, and he wasn't letting anything in.
Yeah. Zach, I'd love to hear what you think. Freddie or Piotr?
I've been on this guy's train pretty much all season, even during the struggles where everyone was questioning him and how he was playing. And I've written it, talked about it, never said I said they have problems. He's not one of them. He still isn't one of them. And I'm going with Piotr. Sorry, I've been on his train all season. I've been saying it's not him. It's the team in front of him. And yeah, the Kings game wasn't even his fault. It's just, if you've noticed, when streaks get snapped, it's always blowouts. Look back when the Blackhawks went on that unreal run in that shortened season when they won the cup. I think it was 13, I believe, or 15, where they won 20 something in a row without a regulation loss. Got absolutely smoked by the Avs. That's how it happens every time when a streak ends. It's not a close one. You get the brakes beaten off of you, and that's what happens when you let in 3 bar downs, off a skate, stuff like that. Defense was losing a lot of 50-50 battles. Guys couldn't figure out Kemper. It just is what it is. But I wouldn't put that on him. And you look at these other games. Yeah, was there a couple soft ones? Yeah, but guess what? All goalies let in soft ones. Freddie literally has let in soft ones a lot recently too. Like, let's not forget he literally passed it to a guy on the other team who had an empty netter. Like, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but it's like, let's not act like Peter's the only guy who's giving up bonehead softy goals. Like, it happens to everyone, but he's done the yeoman's work for the second straight season. Yeah. And for me, he is more than deserved to get his shot because I love Freddie, but the last 2 playoffs, it's always been him, and it's always been, are we going to get the job done? But now I think it's Peter's done the work for the second straight year. I think it's his turn to get the job hey, if you're going to be our goalie of the future, because all signs are pointing that Freddie might not be back next year, and this is going to be Peter's team as the 1A, it's high time we give him that opportunity to be the 1A in the playoffs.
I would really like to see, though, I'd give Piotr a chance, but I would really like to see a good balance of our goalies. If they are both on, we know the Canes play really well with them.
Oh, yeah. A swap off would be great, too.
I would love a great
game 1, it's him.
Yeah, I would love a swap. Hey, game 1's at home, so I'm all for it.
You know what? No one's done it yet, and Shane and Mike talked about it. Heck, let him flip-flop. Forget records, forget who's the hot goalie.
Well, then also it's making the other team.
All year.
It's also interesting. It makes the other team like, you're like, hey, I got this in on this goalie this other night, and now, like, am I going to see him again? No, you're seeing someone new. All right, how am I going to play against him differently than the other guy? And then you go back and they have to keep thinking, how do I play against this goalie compared to this goalie? And it makes them work a little bit more than like, oh, I just saw this guy, I know I could get it in here, I'm going to try that shot again. So
yeah, you've been flipping back and forth all season.
Yeah,
be the first team to do it. Swap in the playoffs. Forget
Why not?
The hot goal.
Why
forget
not?
The hot goalie. Forget the hot goalie.
If anyone does it, it's the Hurricanes.
We've done it the last 2 seasons going into the playoffs, and for whatever reason we abandoned it to go for one goalie, and we see how it works. Throw logic out the window. Swap them in the playoffs. Who cares at this point? Just go do it.
And Zach, I would push back just a tiny little bit on you because there's a lot of people that criticized the no, I'm not going to throw mitts. Just pushing back a tiny bit. The Eastern Conference Final against the Panthers. Every game was a 1-goal game.
Oh, that's understandable. Yeah.
Freddie was outstanding. Like, he played so well. And I always go back to that. And because they didn't win a single game, like you said, Kat, the people just kind of dive in like vultures and just try to tear them apart. And no matter what the situation is, it hurts because you've lost. And so you want to find someone to blame.
I wouldn't even put that on Freddie.
I wouldn't have either, but there were a lot of people out there who said, wow.
There weren't a lot of people getting past Bob, though. That was hard to outdo Bob. I think Freddie went toe to toe with him as best as any goalie did.
It just doesn't help. You lose quadruple overtime to. I mean, you got Tkachuk.
That
in like
swayed
3
the
of those
momentum.
Games.
Yeah.
If you didn't lose that 4 overtime game, if you didn't lose the other one to Matthew Tkachuk again, and then you do it again in game 4, I'm agree with you, Ray. Like, I wouldn't say if it's Freddie at all in the Eastern Conference Final 2 seasons ago. It's just before that, it is what it is. But other than that, last year you could definitely tell there was kind of like maybe we need to figure this out with our goalie. And of course, here's Piotr for 1 game. At that point, you're kind of like, what do you do? So, yeah.
Whoever said that PK was not an NHL caliber goaltender, they need to have their fandom revoked. Like, honestly, do they have any concept of, they're probably watching the wrong sport? Honestly.
Listen.
Like,
if the goaltenders if the goaltenders that have been with the Penguins for so long are still in the NHL at times, then Piotr has earned a spot well above. But we could talk about goalies forever, I know. But to wrap up talking about the Islanders game, we got a little bit of stank and jank action, which I love. Honestly, give me a little bit of that Robinson Jank combination. the speed and the way they find each other. They almost had another one that game as well. Stankoven is starting to get those Marty passes behind the net. Love to see it. And then, of course, you're getting some power play and some shorties from Aho and Jarvis. And we get a little defenseman in there with Orlov, which good because I know one of those goals was a little bit on him for the Islanders. So overall, I think the Canes, it was one of those games where it was like you were getting outworked a little bit. It was neck and neck. You really battled, but you showed that even when you got down or even when they tied it up, that the Canes weren't going to change because they were dominating. And they said, if we just stick with our game plan, we're going to be the better team here. And they did. So honestly, the 3 stars, the first star was Sebastian Aho. I think that was Jarvis's game. Jarvis should have been first star because Jarvis was all over that ice. And I love to see Jank but Seabass did get it as well. Love seeing Svetch back. We'll talk about it a little bit here as we talk about the upcoming games, but currently the players that we have out is Carrier is still out, but Stahl is the next Cane that's now kind of missing consecutive games, which is interesting because it's not a usual thing for the captain. But we're going to go to some quick ads because, of course, we always got to thank our sponsors that keep us running.
Indeed.
Let's go to those real quick, and then we'll talk about the upcoming games.
Yeah, hey, folks, we are here from behind the curtain to talk to you about DraftKings. This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. And games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-time users to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. How do you do that? Call to action right here. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. See it there on your screen. And use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Hey, so Ray, we recently became NHL Shop affiliates. So you know what that means is if any of our listeners go and shop at the NHL Shop like they normally do, whether there's a big sale going on. I mean, I know there's going to be like Memorial Day, Labor Day, all of those fun things, or even middle of the week, because they always love to do those fun little deals. If you're going to go buy something for you, for your friends, for your co-host, if you use our link below, it's a mouthful, so we're going to have it linked places as well. But nhlshop.775j.net/JEZ6B6. If you use that link, hey, you're supporting your favorite podcast besides the Storm Cellar.
Absolutely. That's fun. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it is because you're saving the money. Right?
I mean,
you're getting great deals and you're supporting Sport the Surge Cast.
Yeah, so if people still want to go get some cool jerseys like the one you're sporting right now, where it's a Finland Aho, is that correct?
It is. So absolutely. Fishy's my guy.
Wanting to grab one of those and they go through our link, you're supporting your favorite podcast, and we really appreciate everybody that does that. But yeah, check that out. And then Zach, I think we talked a little bit about the Canes in the community, but there's a sponsor in the community that have been our sponsor for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Primax Hockey, has been there since day 0. Not even one episode was even recorded when they jumped on. Yeah, 1401 East Diggs Drive, right there in Raleigh, 15 minutes from the arena. Season ticket members as well, so you're also helping out fellow Caniacs. Go check out their store, man. They got a great shop, great warehouse. They got everything you really need. Sticks, tape, pucks inside or outside. They even got a skate sharpener. They even got a skate toaster thing where you can get your skates nice and toasty and all formed for how you want to do it too. They got everything you pretty much need there. And their online store is pretty dang amazing. Go to PrimaXhockey.com, and if you use code TheSurgeCast, hey, guess what? 20% off Sebastian Aho. You'll love to see it. And free shipping as well. So there you go. So why not just take care of those deals?
Sounds like the perfect counterpart to, again, the Canes opening up that new street rink. Sounds like a perfect thing to go together.
I mean, hey, they got wheels for your rollerblades. Even they might have rollerblades too, and they might even have skates. So I mean, if you're talking ice, you're talking about even on the rollerblades. Hey, they got you covered. And like I said, they do a great job. If you don't shop online, go to the store and let them know that we sent you. They might help you out in store as well. But like I said, PrimaXhockey.com. Use code TheSurgeCast to get your Sebastian Aho 20% off discount and their free shipping. Because hey, you support us, you're also supporting local. So why not help out Primax Hockey?
And I had such great joy in recording not one, but 2 ads for the O.
Oh yeah, I remember those ads.
Fun. I recorded them both and absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. And for an OG sponsor like that from the beginning, I put my best effort forward. And, Zach took the brunt of it, but
we'll have to bring.
We'll
need to bring that back. The paid intern might be able to, if we can bring it back, he can loop that into some of our upcoming episodes. So
I love it. It was so good.
Or do you want to just give Ray a new one, and we'll just we'll just use the new one at this point. Why not? Why not give a little bit of an update?
Anytime. I'd love to do that.
So we're not reminiscing on this anymore for Zach. We have a big thank you to all of our sponsors, of course, but looking forward to the next couple of games. It's guys, we're getting toward the end of the season, but it's not really feeling like it's slowing down. I mean, our 4-game homestand, we're going to be finishing it up with Washington, which is the big game. Like, this is going to be a big game tomorrow, because you're playing against who you think you're going to match up with later. Like, it's, unless something goes wonky and Washington turns into the Bruins of years before, then
it's possible. You never know.
Playoffs
are crazy. Playoffs are crazy.
There's a lot of weight because, of course, you're playing against a team you're probably going to be matched with in playoffs, but also this is the team that everyone's eyes are on for Ovechkin's record.
Not against us. Don't do it against us. I don't care who you do it against.
No, not against us, because I want our memory with Washington to be us kicking them out of the playoffs. That's what I want my memory to be.
Wait, is this 2019 again? Is this 2019?
But if we're looking at Washington, of course, we are 1-1 with them this season, and it's their first in the Eastern Conference. Ovechkin is 4 goals away now.
4 from taking the record, yes. 3 from tying. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we were saying this earlier before recording. We all know where Ovechkin is shooting, and unfortunately enough, he's shooting on the side that is not the Jacob Slavin side.
Yeah.
So we kind of hate that, because I do remember in prior seasons, Pesci was the one matched up with him a lot, and he did his absolute best. But even when you know where he's going to, unfortunately this season especially, even when you know where he's going to, the rest of the Capitals have been on fire as well. So you also have to keep them honest. So I think a big thing will be taking it the least amount of penalties as possible, but it is the Canes, and the refs do love to hate us. So
and we get a lot of penalties. We get a lot of penalties against the Caps too. Well, yeah, I mean, you got Alexei Protros, who also got some points tonight. He's a plus 40 on the season. PLD decides to remember how to play hockey again. He's a plus 30. Chychrun's a plus 20 something, and John Carlson's a plus 20 something, and Dylan Strome is a plus whatever at this point, and he's on like almost a point per game guy this season again. Like, yeah, it's just essentially at this point, pretty much almost every Capital is almost plus 20 or dang near close to it. It's just limiting the trips to the box. We always talk about it. Play 60 minutes of Canes hockey. All we ask, keep it simple, and just win the special teams battle. And don't let Ovi score. Essentially, that's it.
that
just,
too.
limit him as much as possible. Let him go get the record somewhere else. Don't let him do it here or against us in Washington.
And the one thing I've noticed about Washington, and no one likes to say his name, but Tom Wilson is not playing like a fool anymore.
Who would have thought he figured it out?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it took him a long time, but he's playing some great hockey right now. And he was actually one of the guys that everyone said should have been on Team Canada instead of Seth Jarvis. And there was a legitimate argument to that because the way he's played all season. Now, Seth was the better fit, but Tom Wilson's actually learned how to, instead of, peeing on the line as he crossed it, you know what I mean? Like
perpetual line stepper. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he actually does a good job of playing just enough to be something to worry about on the ice. And when you're not thinking about defending or you're worried about what Wilson's going to do or whatever, everyone else opens up. And the goaltending's been outstanding. Everything about Washington, no one saw it. No one saw it coming. And they all thought the wheels were going to fall off when Ovechkin busted up his leg. And I didn't envision him doing it this year just because too much to ask. Like, he's getting older, a little gray around the beard, like, your favorite Storm Cellar, co-host.
He can't even sit down on the bench.
Yeah.
He has his own stool to sit on. If you watch him, and all Canes fans watch him, he does not even really skate up and down the ice that much anymore.
No, he's not nearly as quick as he was before, but
it's a lot of cherry picking.
Oh, there's no question. No question. And and empty net goals too. I mean, the man, he never misses.
They don't ask Cal. They don't ask Cal. They ask how many.
I will say I do love, Dangles is his thing. He does a podcast. Is it SDR? I feel like that's
it's SD. Yeah, it's SDP for his podcast.
Okay, SDP.
But he also does LFRs for his YouTube stuff. Yeah.
So he does. So he was talking on there with some of the guys, and one guy was like, because they were talking about, okay, he's close to breaking it, and they're like, but Gretzky's was a lot of assists. Like they were kind of being like, yeah, he's like close to tying it, close to breaking it, but Gretzky was a lot of assists, and he got a lot from assists. And they're like, how many assists does Ovechkin have? And I was like, I love this. Everyone, there can always be like a point where you can argue a different thing. And I mean, quietly under the radar, because Ovechkin is so close to the points and everything, is I believe Crosby. Did Crosby tie him for a number of assists or something like that? Crosby did something that made a Gretzky record recently.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a number of
30
seasons.
goal games.
No, it was point per game.
It looks like I asked you guys a big trivia question. You both your brain stopped for a minute.
Yeah.
No, I knew what it was. I had to remember what it was. Yeah, it was number of points per game seasons in a row, which was 20. Gretzky's had 19. So yeah, Sid's had 20 straight point per game seasons, or 20 in general.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it wasn't 20 straight because he's missed a bunch of seasons because of injuries. But yeah, 20 seasons, point per games. Yeah.
Just amazing. And look, the people that compare Ovechkin and Gretzky, I mean, the game is so much different now. Did you see the pads back in the 80s when he was scoring and the goal? I mean,
but it is funny.
The butterfly didn't exist either. Like there was no butterflies.
I mean, yeah, but it's the comparison of him doing that on goalies that weren't really like the goalies of today, but also Ovechkin isn't the acrobat that Gretzky was. It's never, no one's ever going to be just like another person. Like they're
that's exactly it. It's all in context, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about Gretzky too. He did it in the clutch and grab era. He didn't do it in this era where offense is king. Then it's like you had to have Semenko and all these other guys who had to go and defend him and keep him safe. Now there's really not a lot of fighting in the NHL as much as it was back then in the clutch and grab. Imagine Gretzky with no 2-line passes. Good grief. That guy, he would be almost cherry picking almost everyone to death. Just as how good he is. So yeah, goalies have gotten a lot better, but with more how the offense is, we could be talking a little bit differently about some of these records. Could be a little bit harder to break, but
for sure.
Well,
just very quickly, former Whaler Semenko gave Gretzky so much open ice. Like no one went near him. He got hit once by the guy from Toronto and just floored. And the guy, the player from Toronto, actually, he didn't play another game after. Oh, he played very few games after that, or that was his last season. But they made a point of putting Semenko out there, and goodness, didn't through. Holy cow!
Did in Edmonton and did in LA too.
Yeah, that's right. So McSorley out there with him. My goodness.
Yeah, the fact that Gretzky actually said, "No, I want McSorley to come with me." That tells you how much he really loved him. For the fact that, like, no, he's coming with me in this trade.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, of course, again, the big game with Washington is going to be the last one at home for a while, and then we go on a little bit of an away game streak.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at those, we'll be playing Detroit, who we are 2-0 against this season, and I believe are 3 points out from the final wild card spot.
4.
Yes, 4 now. 4 out of the final wild card. That'll be, I mean, that should be a game that you want to get your points in. If you've gone well against them before, if they're falling out of playoff spots and you're going like the Canes, again, home ice advantage, and you keep that momentum going into playoffs, that shouldn't be a game that should give you too much trouble. You're already 2-0 with them this season.
As I always say, anyone can beat anyone. Don't ever. There's no freebies anymore. There's no
freebies. But if you play you've been playing against other teams, you should keep rolling.
I agree with you, but yeah, it's just, and they asked Rod after practice on Tuesday, how tough is it to overlook games? And he's like, you can't overlook games. It's they haven't clinched yet, and they still have a lot to do with Gary for the playoffs. The last thing you want to do is start letting off the gas and then try and then find it again. Yeah, yep. This game, it's not a must win, but it's not, don't lose.
And that team does have Dylan Larkin, who has since the Four Nations was on fire. Mm-hmm. So that'll be
Alex DeBrincat, Patrick Kane. Yeah, those guys are not slowing down either. They're trying, but.
Yeah. And then looking ahead to the next away game, you'll have Boston, who we are another team we're 2-0 against this season. Mm-hmm. They're nowhere going to make playoffs at this point. Honestly, that team kind of hit the self-destruct button, especially when they traded away their captain. That's wild to me. And yeah, I as a Canes fan, loving to see that the Boston Bruins and potentially the Rangers don't make playoffs. I will say it until we're all locked in for playoffs. That's amazing, especially on a retool year for the Canes. I'll take it. But
yeah, too bad we didn't get Morgan geeky, but you know what? Hey, it is what it is.
Oh, another Zach prediction that didn't work out. Oh no.
All right, that was a nice night, y'all. See you later.
You know what? I'm still hurting about not getting Bo Horvat out of Vancouver. So, I wanted, like, he was the guy that I thought would have been the answer. And, him getting away to the Islanders was tough. So, wanting Morgan Geekie and calling for it, I got no trouble with that. He's actually been one of Boston's bright spots all season. If we're looking at them, and they haven't had a lot of really bright things.
Hey, I would have also taken Umsat. I would have taken at one point, and I know Jules would agree with me. She also, Elias Lindholm would have been a nice addition at one point, and now he is stuck on the Boston Bruins as well. But Anyway, looking forward to a team that's even worse than the Bruins is we will be facing Buffalo.
Nope, they just jumped Boston. So actually, Boston's worse than Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah. Buffalo every now and again.
I will say Buffalo has gone on this crazy run. So they've
gone on multiple runs this year.
That is a team where I don't know what we're gonna see because they lost to so they went on this win of they beat the Jets 5-3. And then they beat the Senators 3-2, Penguins 7-3. But then they lost to the Flyers of a beating of 7-4. And the Flyers are not a good team this season.
They just lost and they just fired Tortorella.
But then they beat you know what? They're giving me a little bit of Canes, a little sprinkle of Canes, because here they are playing the top team of the Jets and winning 5-3, but then losing to the Flyers 7-4. But then they come back and they beat the Capitals. They beat the brakes off the Capitals 8-5.
That's unbelievable.
And the poor Senators are just sprinkled in here getting roasted by them twice. And it's just what Buffalo team are you going to get? Are you going to get this one that steps up to their opponent and they're just going to do they're going to score, they're going to completely toast you? Or are you going to get ones where they score on themselves?
Welcome to the epitome of Jekyll and Hyde hockey.
Yeah,
that's all it really is.
And look, I understand Caniacs have a lot of ill feelings for Buffalo fans in the 2006 playoffs and the smashing of the glasses in the parking lot and all the rest of it. It was terrible. But you got to feel for Buffalo fans for, first of all, suffering as long as they have, but to be stuck with a team with that much talent who continues to fail in unbelievable ways. They found every way that they could fail in the NHL. And Adams, he's not going to be there for the GM after this season. They're going to send him packing. And, who's going to come in and be able to fix that? They went to Lindy Ruff again as a coach, and you could feel just we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. It was just.
Well, I can tell you one thing, right? It ain't going to be Seth Jarvis helping him out because he doesn't want to be a GM.
No, what a great clip that was.
Could be a GM? No. By far the greatest post game in the last, I don't know how many seasons, but Adams can only do so much, and obviously it hasn't really worked out for him. So you can take Seth Jarvis coming in as a GM in the future to help you out with that because he wants none of it. So
yeah, I don't blame him. GM is a tough.
Honestly, though, I can see Seth Jarvis being a good scout, though. I can see it. I can see him being a scout.
Asking him if he would be a GM is hilarious. I would take him as a new Trip Tracy. That would be hilarious. I would listen to every broadcast, and I don't want anyone to ever give him media training. And it'd be like Shorzy. It'd be like Shorzy, where they're like, hey, we're getting all these views and all this benefit of watching them talk smack on the ice and all the scrums. Give me Seth Jarvis up in the booth unfiltered.
Oh,
and it's just like when they showed him when he was watching. That's where all those clips came from, when he was at home watching the game when he was sidelined with injury. And so he's sitting there watching the game and he's like, I wouldn't want to go against Slavin. Fishy's gonna fight someone. I want to fight Fishy.
Yeah.
It's unfiltered thoughts.
Him with Maniscalco would be absolutely electric if it was.
Honestly, if you put him with Tripp and Mike, poor Mike would just be Mike off the wall, and Mike would just be like, and back to the game.
Hey, let's go back.
He praises enjoyed. Honestly, he'd be like, okay, cool.
You could see Mr. Maniscalco saying, settle down all night, settle down, because it would be just like Shorzy. It'd be amazing. It's so good. So good.
I don't know. I think an underrated three guys together would probably be Shane, Mike, and Jarvie, because the rant Shane and Mike went on the 300th episode. Wow, they were heated, but honestly, again, those two with Jarvie, that would be a great 3-guy broadcast. Just for the fun of it. It just get Seth on Kane's Cast for a whole episode. Oh my gosh, that would be fun. That would be just amazing to listen to.
Something to wish for.
Yeah,
hey Mike, if you're watching.
But also a long time from now, I don't want Jarvis anywhere but on the ice for the Canes for quite a while.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
This has been so fun to talk Canes hockey with you guys. It's, again, we're on that up and up of the Canes. It feels like things are starting to click. You're having problems of being like, who's going to play? We have too many guys that can do great in this lineup. Now, like,
what a problem to have.
We have a little bit of an injury. We didn't cover it too much, but Stahl is out. I thought it was sickness, and then it also says injury. So, but either way, they said it's just
lower body. Yep, he is doubtful.
Yeah, they said it's just precautionary. They probably hold him out against Washington just because it's not worth pushing through anything right now. When you can be 100% later on. So, but I mean, what again, a wealth of players, because you have Jost being able to slide back in, and then you've got KK being able to go into that Stahl spot that we all thought was going to be his spot anyway down the line. KK did everything and took a puck to the head last game. So, and then what's really awesome though, and you can show that Rod is really trusting of Jank, is Jankowski was in the Stahl slot on the penalty kill, which is a very big, like, Jarvis has gone to that role. Other guys have gone to that role when needed. But that's like the first guy, kind of like Aho. That's the first guy that they're seeing when they're trying to cross that blue line. So it's a lot of pressure. We, again, Canes fans, we have a lot of pride in our penalty kill. For a new guy sliding right in, that's fantastic. But it's a good time to be a Canes fan. We just got to keep pushing. We're towards the end. The end of the regular season is in sight. You might look at your calendar and say, hey, wow, I don't have a lot of games written for this upcoming month. But hey, that just means the playoff schedule's coming out, and soon the action's just going to pick up. But thanks so much for talking hockey with me tonight, guys. Any last thoughts for all of the people joining us tonight or listening to this? Ray, I'll let you go first.
Some little shameless self-promotion.
Yeah. I was gonna let you promote yourself, but I was also, if you had any final thoughts on the Canes right now, whether it be goaltending to the guys on the ice.
So look, as far as the Canes go, I'm loving what I'm seeing. They're working so hard, having the guys fill the roles that they've been given. And I mean, I look at guys like Robinson and Jost and like all of these people that have been coming in and filling in, Jackson Blake, I mean, being put on the top line. There's been so many great things that we found out in the rebuilding season. And I've always just wanted a team that gives me 100% every night. Play 60 minutes. It gets so frustrating when we're chasing the game. Give me a full 60 guys, and that's enough to make me happy. I don't mind if we get beat 7-2, so long as, like, in that Kings game, we were down, I think it was 7-1 at the point, and the guys were still working their butts off in the third period. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. I can live by that. Keep going that way, and we'll be in good shape in the playoffs. And Caniacs, fill Lenovo Center. Fill it, rock it, make it as loud as possible. I want to blow the roof off the place and see us really show the rest of the league that Carolina is a hockey town. No more crap about otherwise. Please. That's sorry. I got a little vulgar there, but
Zach, final thought. Sorry. I could tell from the story.
Pitter patter, let's get at her. No, I mean, we kind of talked about, but just got to emphasize. I mean, hey, look at the season Seth Jarvis is having, man. Tying Kevin Adams for the franchise record for most shorties in the season. I hope you don't want to see this team take a lot of penalties, but I hope we do at least get a couple so he has the opportunity to set the record because he definitely deserves it. Close for another 30 goal, 60-point season. Will he break his point total? I don't think so. But hey, when you miss 7 games and still have a 60-point season and lead the team in goals and shorties and all that good stuff, hey, sorry, but that's not just star level. That's super star level. So we have Super Seth for the rest of this season. I'm glad we got him for another 7 seasons after this. So gotta give props to 24, man. Who would have thought this kid would come out of nowhere and does what he does? But you know what? I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see him rocking an A at some point because he more than deserves being an assistant captain on this team.
No question.
All right, Kat, what about you? What is your final thought?
My final thought is honestly just enjoy the Canes hockey. Again, you've got a last couple of games. We're going into only having 3 home games left until playoffs. Not everyone, I understand it's not in the budget. It's a lot of hockey. Not everyone's going to make the playoff games. If you do, I highly encourage going to at least one because the atmosphere, like Ray was saying, it's out of the world. It's out of this world. Like, listen, Peyton Turn is gone. He went last year. And he was even talking to some other people like, you got to listen, you know how rocking it is in here for this game now. You got to experience playoff hockey. And I was like, for someone to have just gone through it once, and I've gone through it, so it's the same feeling. Like you look forward to it because the atmosphere is just electric. You can feel the excitement. You can feel everything's on the line. It's just, it's amazing. But in the meantime, enjoy all of the remaining home games. Cheer on the guys. Honestly, hey, if we drop a game, calm down. There's more coming. And then,
hey, Kat, 2025. What have we been saying?
Optimism,
especially when you need it for the playoffs.
Yeah, honestly, again, the guys are putting in the work. Like Ray said, I'm all about if you're giving me all of your effort and you're trying, I'm 100% down for it. Again, I will maintain hockey is a lot about luck. It's a lot about luck. A lot of teams have skill. There's a lot of skilled guys, but sometimes that puck just manages to squeak in because you've got the puck luck that night. So just be hoping we've got puck luck a little bit more than other teams coming up, and enjoy it. But that's all for this episode. Ray, thank you so much for joining us. We love our brother pod. Sounded weird to say, but at the Storm Cellar.
You know what?
Tell everyone where they can find you.
You know what? You can, all of our, like the Storm Cellar is on every format. Okay. So we're real easy to find. And we encourage you to look us up because we're always looking for the fans. Our MO is focusing on the Caniacs all over the world. It's put us #1 podcast in Liechtenstein. And, we're working on trying to overtake you guys. I mean, you guys were #1 there at one point, but we overtook you. So I apologize. Again, the Canadian in me always apologizing, but look,
sorry, not sorry.
It's exactly cursing more.
But just check us out. Give us a listen. Sometimes we're a little bit on the grumpy side, but we always believe that we're fair. So optimism is great, but we believe that we're fair and we focus the spotlight on the fans. We want to hear from you no matter where you are in the world, and drop us a line. The Storm Cellar. That's it.
And for everyone else joining in, of course, you can find the Surgecast on all of our socials. If you need any links or anything, we do have a link tree. Again, it's the Surgecast wherever you find us. And then, of course, on TikTok, it's the .Surgecast. But go give us a like, follow, share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. But again, thank you so much for joining us for this live episode of the Surgecast. Can't wait to see how the game goes this week against Washington. It's a big one, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace. On the Surgecast.